everyone, so today we're having a curry night and I'm going to make a keema curry. So we've got a few ingredients. So I've got some ground lamb, so there's a pound of ground lamb here. I've got some chopped onions, I've got these in little ramekins because everything sort of goes in at different stages. So I've got some cinnamon bark. That actually came from India because I've got a friend in India and they sent us a load of spices and stuff. So that's cinnamon bark, bay leaf and some cardamom pods in there. I've got some potatoes, if you can see on the camera, if not, potatoes. Again, I'm using my old bloody phone. So in here I've got some turmeric, some ground coriander and some Kashmiri chili powder. I've got some garlic and ginger paste in here, which is basically garlic and ginger blitzed up with a little bit of water. We've got some chopped tomatoes, frozen peas, and I've got some sugar there. And then I've just got some salt, and I will need a little bit of oil as well along the way. I do have ghee, but this recipe calls for oil, so I'm going to use oil. So throughout the recipe I will need to add some water. So one stage will be to stop the spices burning, and then at another stage it'll to be making a little bit of a gravy. It's always best to add hot water, so as you can hear in the background I'm boiling the kettle now, ready just so that the water's there whenever I need it and that water's hot. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of heat under the pan, and I'm going to pop some oil in. This is a take 2 because I went to put some salt in and the lid come off the salt and about 10 gallon of salt went in. So this is take 2 minus the swearing. So I'm going to let that oil just heat through a little bit. Like I say, I have got ghee, but this ghee has quite a strong sort of smell and taste, I find. But this recipe doesn't call for ghee, so I'm not going to use ghee. If you want to use ghee, fine. However, I'm not, because the recipe doesn't call for it. So let's get that oil heated through, and then the next thing I'm going to add into the hot oil is going to be our cardamom pod, this cinnamon bark, and a bay leaf. Right, so that's going in there. And we're just going to give that a couple of minutes in the oil, and that'll just fragrance the oil, ready for our onions going in. Right, so I'm going to add my onions in, and I don't want my onions to be caramelised. I just want them to be softened. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pinch of salt, and I'm going to put the salt in my hand in case the bloody lid comes off at the end. And what that salt will do, it'll just help soften the mushrooms. Honest to God, it's been a long day. The onions. I'm just going to keep stirring these until they're lightly browned. So in next, so our onions are lightly browned off. In next goes the garlic and ginger paste. This just needs to be given a good mix around. Careful not to burn it, because it will give like a bitter, horrible taste with burnt garlic. But just cook it out. So I'm just going to give it a good stir about. Incorporate that with the onions there. If you feel that liquid, the bottom's just a little bit dry, and that your garlic ginger is going to stick, just add a little bit of that boiling water out of the kettle, and it'll not bring the heat down in the pan, but it'll help cook your garlic and ginger through. So that's our garlic and ginger paste there incorporated, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start to put my lamb in now. Now you can use any other meat if you want, I suppose, but traditionally this is a keema, it's kind of done with lamb, so And lamb's not cheap. This here cost me, I think it was £6 per pack, and I needed 2 packs for this recipe. So it's like £12. I mean, it's going to make a lot, I think, so don't get us wrong. And I could even freeze some, you know, for another night or whatever, another day. So it is, you can pop it in the freezer. But yeah, it's not cheap, but it's what we fancy today. So I'm just going to keep on mixing this around and almost like pounding the the meat so it's not in strands. So I want it sort of almost ground, like ground meat. So yeah, so I'm just gonna give it a couple of, like a minute or so there, and then just keep stirring it just until all of the meat is cooked through and all the flavours are incorporated into the meat as well. Now lamb is quite a fatty meat, so you've just got to keep cooking this until all or almost all of the liquid has gone. So now that's quite dry, I'm going to pop in our spice mix and give that a stir round. And then what I'm going to do is give it a minute on the heat, and I'm going to add some boiling water. So you can see that meat there is covered in the spices, and I'm just going to add a little bit of water out of the kettle that I boiled earlier. And the reason for that is going to stop the spices burning as well. So in next goes, this is being cooked off for about 5 minutes, so it's looking quite dry. So in next goes about half a tin of chopped tomatoes. So I'm going to stir them through, and then I'm going to pop the lid on for 5 minutes. So there's the tomatoes in. I'm just going to leave them now to simmer away on a low heat for about 5 minutes, but I'm going to put the lid on the pan. So the next thing I'm going to add in to the mix is our potatoes. These are optional, you don't have to add these in if you don't want to. But I love potato in a curry. In fact, I prefer it over chicken or meat, to be honest. And then I'll give them a stir in first. And then in goes our garam masala. Give that a good stir and a good mix around. And then I'm going to add my sugar in there. Give that a stir and a mix. And then I'm going to add the liquid. Now there's about 300 ml of liquid going in there, and it's going to simmer away for about 20 minutes with the lid on, and it will dry up a little bit as well. And finally in goes our peas, and there you have it. Well, not quite, but very near. So this is just going to simmer away for about 20 minutes, and that'll cook the potatoes. And I'll also get the naans and stuff done, but as I say, they're coming on a different video. But yeah, we'll simmer this away and I'll bring you back when it's done. And the final ingredient is going to be some fresh chopped coriander. And I'm going to pop that in and give it a good stir around. And that is our Keema curry done. So this here you can have with naan bread, you can have with rice, chapatis, anything really. But the video and the pictures actually don't do it justice. It looks really, really nice and it smells gorgeous too. So yeah, I'll crack on with the naan breads and I'll show you when it's all dished up. And there we have the Keema curry. As I say, it is quite dry, it's supposed to be. There is some juices at the bottom. I've served that just with some plain basmati rice and some skin on fries, and also a homemade naan bread. Now I know I put potatoes in there, but I forgot and they asked for skin on fries. So yeah, we didn't really need the chips, but because I forgot I put potatoes in, but hey ho, never mind.